Welcome to Takedown DFS. We got another UFC fight card. We got a pay-per-view event in Houston, Texas. We got the Houston native Derek Lewis taking on Cyril Gane, the undefeated fighter. Last week's card was pretty crazy. We had a lot of upsets. We had a lot of things that a lot of people in the industry got wrong, me myself included. There was a lot of fights that lower level fights that were hard to pick, and definitely a lot of crazy fights, but this week seems a little bit more straightforward. This week I'm looking forward to a lot of the great fights here. And once again, SUPERDRAFT. Great site to play on. Sign up there using code TakedownDFS. I'll have that in the bio and also the description on every single one of my social medias. You can find all my favorite picks on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok, all in the bio as well. So, yeah. Make sure you guys are following that, and make sure you guys let me know what you like about this card and all that stuff. Make sure you follow along with me. But let's get into these fights. There's 13 fights on this card. All right, this fight card starts off with Jamie Simmons taking on Johnny Munoz. Jamie Simmons comes in at a 1.5x multiplier against Johnny Munoz at a 1.1x multiplier. For super draft scoring. And Johnny Munoz is a minus 230 favorite against Jamie Simmons at plus 184. So the thing that sticks out with me when looking at Munoz is his last time out, he went 2 for 16 on takedown attempts, which I was like, okay, he was going hard for those takedowns, and it seems like it wasn't that good. So if you're looking at Fanduel, that makes me look at the dog right there, because he'll probably have a low price. Once again, Fanduel pricing is not out because it comes out on Thursdays. I'm doing it a little earlier this week. Munoz is amazing on the ground, and he has a 10-time gold medalist in BJJ, in one of those BJJ competitions. 10-time gold medalist, so Munoz is very good on the ground, so that's probably why I was going to spam in those takedown attempts. And it was a tough matchup for takedowns in the last event. So it's a clash of styles here in the way they grapple. Jamie Simmons fights very unorthodox and needs those unorthodox moves to better his game. So those unorthodox moves need to be tricking his opponent to be able to have a good game going in. And I think Simmons is going to have to shoot for takedowns here. It's going to be a role reversal of the last thing that I saw of Simmons is going to be the one needing to shoot for takedowns, because I think he needs to be on top to tire him out, because if Johnny Munoz isn't tired in this fight, he should be able to have his way with him. So that's why I lean Munoz, because his jiu-jitsu will make him good off his back as well. So even if he does get taken out, he'll be good off his back. So that's where it's a low-level fight, so it's hard to call these. But I think Johnny Munoz should be able to dominate all aspects of this game. I don't think he has the finishing power, though. And so I'm going to think this goes to a decision. So I'm going to lean Johnny Munoz by decision. It's fine if you want to throw him in your lines, but I'll probably look elsewhere. Low-level fight to start the card. So give me Johnny Munoz 1.1x to start the card. Next fights, we have Victoria Leonardo versus Melissa Gallo. Melissa Gallo is a minus 118 favorite against Victoria Leonardo is minus 104, so pretty much a toss-up. 1.2x for Gallo, 1.35x for Leonardo. And Gallo has had fights scheduled. She had a bunch of fights scheduled and a 1-year USADA suspension, and now she finally gets her debut. So it's been a long journey. 2 years and 9 months since she last fought. So that fight, she was outstruck bad till she won a Hail Mary submission, but she was getting severely outstruck. So she needed to change up some of the things, and almost 3 years. What else was she been working on? She should have been working on that. Has almost 3 years to get better. Gallo has great jiu-jitsu off her back and should work versus lower level competition like Victoria Leonardo here. So Leonardo's defense doesn't switch during a fight. Like, she's not the type that'll switch up when she's getting beat up. She just doesn't know how to do that. She just fights this one way. So it's up to if Victoria Leonardo could keep striking with her and be able to tire out Melissa Gallo early. But the thing is, Melissa Gallo is so good with off her back, and she's so good with the submissions that I think it's going to be tough for Victoria Leonardo if she can't completely outstrike her and keep the fight on the feet to be able to win this fight. So that's why it's a tough fight to call, because Leonardo could piece her up. But I'm going to lean Gallo with the submission ability and the fact that if this fight goes to the ground, Gallo has the advantage there, even if she's off her back. So I'm going to lean Gallo here in this. two women's fights that mostly go to a decision. So I'm not too high on these because we have some great fights coming up in the main card. But I'm going to lean on Melissa Gatto here to get the win. I like Melissa Gatto's ability to get submissions and at least threat the submission and the ability to grapple on the ground. So Leonardo should be able to get a couple strikes in, a lot of strikes, but I think that's all she'll be able to do. So I think Gatto will be able to win the decision here. Next fight is Miles Johns versus Anderson Dos Santos. Miles Johns comes in at minus 225 favorite against Anderson Dos Santos at minus 1.4 plus 180. Miles Johns 1.1x multiplier to Anderson Dos Santos 1.45x. The question is, how good is Miles Johns? Because everyone says he's going to be making his way towards the top of this division. And he has been. But Miles Johns is fighting... I like the fact that also on this card, they're going to talk about this with Derek Lewis, but he's fighting at a Dallas guy. So fights in Houston, so hometown. He's going to be pumped up for this fight. But 36-year-old Anderson Dos Santos doesn't have much of a future in this. And Johns does. So the thing when Johns goes into his next fight will be how good is Miles Johns. I don't think it's going to affect him here, though. Miles Johns has the wrestling and pressure to make Dos Santos uncomfortable. And I think that's going to be the whole thing in this because Dos Santos really has just power. And Johns is going to be able to eat some of those shots, and if he ever gets into trouble, he has the offensive wrestling and the pressure because he was a high school wrestler. Like, he's going to be able to pressure this whole fight and anything. I just think Anderson Dos Santos is a tough guy, not going to get out of this. So Johns by decision. So I lean Johns over Munoz and Gatto right now, but I don't really lean him higher on the thing. So 3 early fights that I don't really have too much of. Next, we have Manel Starboy Cop versus Oday Osborne, the Jamaican sensation. Manel Cop comes in a minus 200 favorite versus Oday Osborne at plus 160. Manel Cop is also a 1.1x multiplier. Osborne is a 1.45x. Oday is going to go out there and make it a war, he says. I saw in an interview earlier this week, said he's going to make it a war. And then he also has a wrestling background, but he says he has a wrestling background, but he is an electric and speedy striker. Both these guys are very good strikers. So, true flyweight debut for Osborne. So that's another thing to look at is he's actually making his flyweight debut instead of bantamweight. And both guys have crazy hand speed. Oday Osborne, I talked about his hand speed. Manel Cop has great hand speed as well. Cop has great flurries and also has the threat of wrestling. So when Cop goes in, he throws in with a bunch of flurries and uses that to threaten the wrestling. Osborne uses his length, which you don't see a lot in this division, especially now that he's in the true flyweight. So Osborne should have the length, and he has the reach by 5 inches. But the thing is, Manel Cop's can come in with those flurries. So when you're coming in with flurries, the reach advantage helps you when you're at distance. But when he comes in with the flurries, if he's able to get in on him, that doesn't help him that much in there. So Manel Cop had a lot of hype, championship level hype coming in, but it's somewhat simmered down. And Oday needs to hurt Cop early because the late rounds could be scary for him. Cop has a lot of staying power, and he keeps that up for 15 minutes. So I lean Manel Cop because of his durability and his longevity to keep in there cardio-wise. But Osborne does have the power and the speed to be able to hit him with a couple shots early. So both these guys have that same power. So you're gonna want this fight. I think if Osborne wins at 1.45x, that'd be huge. So I could see taking a flyer shot on him. But if I had to pick who's gonna win this, I think the staying power of Cop, him being a minus 200 favorite, him having the flurries and the cardio, I think Cop outlasts him and maybe be able to put him down in the 3rd round. But I think he could have close to 100 significant strikes in 3 rounds here. So I like Cop here, Manel Cop to get the win. On to the prelims. That was the early prelims. We've got Karolina Kowalkiewicz versus Jessica Penne. Karolina comes in at minus 120 to Penne at minus 102. So a little bit of a toss-up there. And 1.25x multiplier to 1.3x multiplier for Penne. Carolina got beat up so bad in her last fight. She get titanium plate put in her face. Both these girls just eat shots. They take a lot of damage to the face, a lot of strikes to the face. And that's not good. Both these girls are damaged. They're old. Yeah, it's a tough fight for both of them. Carolina still has decent Muay Thai. And I think that's going to help her a lot in this fight because both these girls are way past their primes. And in the clinch, Carolina's going to have the advantage, which will help her win a decision in a toss-up. I'm not going to really touch either of these guys for the for fantasy because I think that both these girls are going to be having a clinch fight to where it's a lot of, if we play on site like Draftkings, they have control time. I think it's going to be a lot of control time and pushing up against the fence. Not a lot of strikes because both these girls don't want to eat shots. And I think Carolina is just Muay Thai and the ability for her takedown defense and Muay Thai clinch ability that Carolina is going to be able to outlast Penne because this is going to go to decision. This definitely, like you want to take a bet over 2.5 rounds, it's going to decision. But I think Carolina is going to be able to edge out on the 2 rounds to 1. I think it's 29-28 across the board. Maybe just Penne will get a nice round, but I think Carolina is going to do enough to win. So I like Carolina to win this fight. I don't like touching either of them, even though they're 1.25x and 1.3x. I don't like touching either of them for fantasy-wise. Finally, we get an exciting one. Alonzo Menefield, minus 250 against Ed Herman, plus 198. 1.1x for Menefield, 1.5x for Herman. We've got an old resurgence for Ed Herman at 40 or 41 years old now. So Alonzo Menefield got Fabio Chiro and Yvonne Flute. That was a great fight with the guy with the green hair over there. Came in short notice because Menefield didn't have an opponent. Ended up taking Chiro to the ground, which Chiro was very good on the ground. The guy's like, you don't want to mess with him there. And ended up getting a Von Flu on him, which is pretty crazy. Great fight, great finish by Menefield. But this is where I don't know where 41-year-old Herman will succeed in this fight because Menefield is so much bigger and physicality will be a big thing in this fight because he's going to be able to push up against him, even though the height-wise, and they're the same weight. Menefield's walking around weight is so much bigger, and you could tell that Herman, because he's 41 years old, is not going to be able to puff up and be that big guy on fight day. So Menefield, I think, is going to be the bigger guy, and when they get into the cage and get locked in there. And Menefield should have the cardio to last and throw big single shots, but I don't think he's going to need it because I think that because Menefield throws a lot of single shots, and Ed Herman is a tough guy, but very, very tough, the old man strength, but Menefield's going to be throwing those power shots, and when one lands on the chin, I think Menefield's going to be able to find his way to get a finish there. I think Menefield's going to either get a first round or an early second round knockout. I have Menefield by finish here, and I'm pretty confident in that. He's going to be one of the top guys I go for at the 1.1x, so that's why I see the Munoz 1.1x, John's 1.1x, Cop 1.1x. I'm going to Menefield over all those by far. Next guy would go to his Cop, but yeah, Menefield easy all day, 1.1x. Give it to him. I think he gets the finish. Next up, we have Draco Rodriguez versus Vincent Morales. Draco is coming in at minus 115. Morales minus 105. Toss-up fight, but Draco's 1.2x. Morales 1.35x. Draco is wild as hell. Bunch of different submissions. Draco fights very aggressively. He comes in very aggressive in every single one of his fights. Vince Morales on the other side, he's a tricky fighter. He's cousins of Ricky Simone, the fighter there. He'll be in his corner. And Draco is an all-action guy that will be aggressive. But that's what happens is when you're an action guy like that, aggressive, they typically leave their chin open, and that's what Draco does, which I'm afraid of for this fight. But Draco's worst attribute is his defensive wrestling. So as long as he is able to stop the takedowns and not get wrestled, I think he should be able to do that. Vince Morales actually opened minus 180 and then moved really quick to Draco's favor. So that brings me more on where I think this fight goes. I think Draco can win here, and I think he can even get the finish because of the aggressive nature on a young guy like Vince Morales. Vince needs to wrestle heavy and get a lot of takedowns early, and if he's not able to do that early, I think Rodriguez could be able to piece him up so bad that It's just his fight now. Now Vince is in his world and his fight. So I think that this is that's why this is a toss-up fight, because if Vince does get that early, it's going to be really hard for Draco to win. But I think Draco's able to get the takedown defenses early when he has the full cardio and everything, and able to fight this fight on the feet, where Draco should come out on top. I think Draco wins this fight, and I think he wins by finish. Next fight, we have the biggest favorite on the card, Rafael Fiziev at -325 against Bobby Green at +250. Rafael Fiziev is a straight 1x, no extra multiplier on there because he's a heavy favorite. There's only 2 1x guys on this card. And then Bobby Green is the bottom tier, cheapest guy, only 2 of those guys on the card, 1.6x. So, Bobby Green's big defense is the shoulder roll, lean back, keeps his head right there, but it seems to work. He's pretty good at defensive boxing. Yeah, he's good at boxing, mostly defensive. Not much of a power guy, so that's where we're gonna get into this fight where it's tough for him, because he's more of a boxing guy. Fiziev has a great kickboxing background, very technical, super technical with everything he does. Some of the fastest hands in the business, fast hands on this card. When I talked about the 2 guys with fast hands, way faster with Fiziev, fast guy. Has power, but decides when he wants to use it. One of those guys, super technical, that he's not going to try for that power shot when he to leave himself susceptible. He's just going to keep piecing you up. And I don't think Green will be able to strike with him, so that's why I said Bobby Green's primary striker, boxer. And if you can't strike with the guy, that doesn't leave you in too good of a position. Green doesn't check leg kicks, and Fiziev does those leg kicks very well. He also is bad with combos to the head. When he throws combos, Bobby Green is more of like I'll get out of the way of the one and stop there. So if you throw a lot of combos and you throw leg kicks, that hurts Bobby Green. Fiziev throws combos and leg kicks. So I think Fiziev's going to be able to put him out early. If it does last a couple rounds, I think he'll be able to rack up significant strikes, maybe some takedown defenses, because they'll get afraid of the striking or try to wrestle. But I think Fiziev should be able to dominate here. I like him at the 1x multiplier. I wouldn't throw him in your captain spot because you don't get too much with the 1.5x, as some of them to get 2.25x or something like that. So I wouldn't throw him in your captain spot, but I like Fiziev a lot. If he's a piece to throw in there, especially if you have some dogs, throw in a safe guy in Fiziev. I think he's pretty safe here. I think he's going to get the win, and I think he can get a win by finish. On to the main card. Now we get to go the distance odds. They come out earlier in the week. This and the co-main event, I think, are the 2 that are most likely to go to fight of the night. We've got Song Yadong -105 versus Kenney at -115x. -115, my bad. Kenney 1.3x, Song Yadong 1.3x. So they both have good multipliers, so you're going to want some of this. I said fight of the night. You're going to want some of this. To go the distance, -164. To not, +120. So lean towards going the distance. So Yadong is a boxer with poor takedown defense, very poor takedown defense. But Kenney's a guy that likes to strike with his opponents. Will go out there and have a war for fight of the night, which I don't know if that's the smartest thing when the guy's very bad and shows he has a weakness there. So Kenney might want to go for wrestling. But Yadong has guys at the gym now that he could train with that are perfect for takedown defense, those type of guys. So I think it's gotten better. It has to have since his last fight, because he got pretty much beat up pretty bad in the last fight by getting takedown a bunch of times. So Song Yadong has great cardio. He will easily go 3 rounds. I think this if this was a 5-round fight, he could easily go 5. But I think he's going to easily go the 3 rounds. But Kenney will likely be strongest in the first round. So that's where he's going to try and need to wear down a guy like Song Yadong and try and win out the first round, because if he doesn't, it's going to be hard for him. I worry about Song timing one of Kenney's kicks with the counter-strike, because Song Yadong has a counter-strike ability that's very good, and Kenney throws kicks, a lot of random kicks. And if he's able to time one, Kenney's defense is susceptible to a straight right counter. So I'm afraid of that with this, but Kenney is a good striker, but not the best speed. So that's where Song Yadong is a big counter-striker. Will have an advantage here with coming back at him like that. So but that's the thing that scares me about this fight is if Kenney wrestles, that's his best way to win. So if he doesn't go for a fight of the night and tries to go back and forth with this guy, beating up, Like, I think Song Yadong wins that out. But Casey Kenney has that ability to be able to wrestle in this fight and to be able to get a guy taken down a couple times or win out rounds. So if Kenney wrestles, he could win this. But if not, it's a toss-up fight, and that's why I'm leaning Kenney here. Even though he's going to be able to get the counter strikes, I don't think he's going to be able to put Kenney out. So I think they'll strike around for a bit. But if Kenny's able to get a takedown around or a takedown late in rounds on 2 of these rounds, I think he can be able to edge it out. So I'm going to lean Casey Kenney here, but if you're making multiple lineups, I wouldn't mind splitting it with this toss-up. But the leans towards Casey Kenney here. They can get the job done. Oof, flying through this card. We've got Tasha Torres, minus 142 versus Angela Hill at plus 116. Tasha Torres at 1.25x to Angela Hill at 1.35x. This is minus 340 to go the distance, plus 240 to not. So we'll go the distance, in my opinion. We'll go through this one real quick. This is a rematch fight. Tasha Torres beat her up and was a very boring fight. Just kept going in the clinch and all that stuff. So when Hill fights top-level talent, she typically loses. She loses a bunch. And I think this fight goes the exact same way as the first fight. There's no reason to say it shouldn't. I think clinch control and takedown defense edges out. I think she's going to be able to stop takedowns of Angela Overkill Hill, and I think she's going to be able to clinch with her and do enough to win out rounds. So that's where I think Tasha Torres either wins 30-27 or 29-28. But this is the thing where if I'm taking Tasha Torres by decision, but in fantasy, not touching this at all. Don't care 1.25x, don't care 1.35x. I don't think either of these people are viable for a decision. I think they just fight it out, clinch a lot. Maybe you have 50 to 60 significant strikes apiece, or 50 to 60 significant strikes for Torres, 30 to 40 for Angela Hill, maybe 3 or 4 takedowns, and a lot of control time. So I'll lean Tasha Torres get the win, but I'm not really touching it for fantasy. We have 3 great fights coming up, so let's move on to them. Here we go. We've got Michael, the Maverick Chiesa at plus 102 versus Vicente Luque at minus 124, the Silent Assassin. 1.2x for Luque, 1.35x for Chiesa. My bad. Minus 118 to go the distance, minus 112 to not. They say pretty much toss up. Both guys are on a great run. And Chiesa was doing bad at a different weight class, moved to 170. He looks massive at 170 pounds. Very tough guy. Chiesa is a high IQ, smart guy. Does what he has to win in his fights. If he needs to wrestle in a fight, he does that. If he needs to do more of a grappling approach, does that. But Chiesa needs to make this a boring fight. He needs to lay on him or go for takedowns and clinch a lot to be able to win this fight, because Luque might have the best power in the division. Let's just be honest. Luque is a very, very powerful guy. You don't want to be locked in a cage with him. And Chiesa needs a takedown early. I think Chiesa is too susceptible to getting hit, that Luque lands one and puts him out. So if I'm taking Luque by knockout here. I think Chiesa is very tough and he's going to be able to withstand a lot. But when one of those big shots hit him right on the chin, he doesn't have the power. He doesn't have that to be able to keep that and keep going. So I think enough of those shots are going to hit Chiesa to where it leaves him open for a big one. And I think he lands a big one unless Chiesa is able to come out right out of the gate, get a takedown, and keep going there. But I don't think he's going to be able to do that. I think Luque is going to be watching for that, knowing that he's going to be able to stand with this guy and stop the takedowns and be able to put Chiesa down. So I'm going to take Chiesa to lose this by a finish. I think Luque. I think Chiesa is too susceptible with that jaw. So Luque is going to be able to put his lights out. So I like Luque by finish here. 1.2x. That's very good. Yeah, give me Luque by finish, and let's go on to the co-main event. Co-main event, we have Jose Aldo versus Pedro Munoz. 2 Munozes on this card. We got, who is that, Jimmy Munoz? Johnny Munoz and Pedro Munoz. I always think of Jose Aldo as a very old fighter. These guys are 2 days apart, so that was a little shocking to me to see. It's just Aldo came in so young. But Jose Aldo minus 128, and Pedro Munoz plus 104. Aldo 1.25x, Munoz 1.35x. Another one of those ones that are just like the Kenney Song Yadong, where they both have good multipliers. So, and this is another one where I think between those two fights, one of these is fight of the night. So, yeah, I like this fight a lot. Minus 174 to go the distance, 136 to not. Aldo will have a massive speed advantage here. He does it in a lot of his fights. He's a very fast guy. But Munoz has the power, and the power strikes. This is fight night written all over it. Like I said, Aldo should be able to land multiple shots at a time, while Munoz is trying to land that big shot. The thing is, Aldo hasn't shown he can eat these power shots, and that scares me for him. If Munoz hits him clean early on, Aldo could turn into a wrestler and try and wrestle with this fight, but that's where it scares me with Aldo here. And the thing is, though, speed kills in this sport. And if he's looking for power shots and he's getting pieced up early, then Aldo should be able to take advantage of this as the fight goes on, and maybe if we get a finish. I think whoever wins this fight is going to be able to get a finish, because I think if Aldo's hitting him with the speed, he gets a finish late. If Munoz finds him with that shot, he puts Aldo down. So I'm going to have to go, even though it's minus 174 to go the distance, I think this is a fight that will end in a finish. I have to side with the speed advantage of Aldo, especially if he uses the kicks and body shots that he is accustomed to doing. But Munoz could KO him, so be aware of that. So this is another fight. I hate this with the Song Dong Keys Kenney, where I lean Kenney, but Song Dong is definitely live. Same one here. I lean Aldo here. Munoz is definitely live, but I lean Aldo with that at 1.25x. I think he's able to have the speed advantage, and that wins out in this fight. On to the big main event here, which is a very tough fight to call. This fight is tough. I will break this down, and then I'm going to try and talk through a winner. Oof. For a fight that has Cyril Gane, Bon Gamin, minus 400 to Derek the Black Beast Lewis at plus 300, you wouldn't think this would be that close. And you would think that if I think it's close, I should side with Lewis, right? But no, because of the way that this fight is going to go down. So last time we saw these guys in the cage, it was Cyril Gane, and he beat up Volkov. He got hit a few times, was able to beat up Volkov. Once again, to go the distance, plus 140, so they believe it will go end in a finish because it's minus 176 to not. Last time we saw Cyril Gane, he beat up on Volkov. Very well-rounded fighter, very well-rounded fight there. Derek Lewis is the fun guy that has heavy power in his hand. Lewis, when he fought Curtis Blades, was this big of an underdog and put Blades laid out on a crazy uppercut while he was going in for a takedown. So that's where Lewis is. That's the way Lewis fights. And that was a very scary knockout. Knocked him out cold. Derek Lewis is a beast. That's why his nickname is that. And he's fighting in Houston in front of the home crowd. So the narrative would be, wow, Derek Lewis gets big hit knockout, interim heavyweight title. I can see it in my head, but at the same time, Cyril Gane is so well-rounded and was preparing for this exact fight. So, Gane, but the thing with Gane is Gane's defense in stand-up is very good. He in most of his fights is able to not get hit. He moves back, knows when to move to be able to not get hit, and keeps his hands up. He was able to withstand some hard shots from Volkov too, where Volkov was hitting him, and he was able to be composed and keep going and keep doing his game plan. But the thing is, he only has 9 MMA fights. He's stayed composed for all of his fights throughout all of them, but he's 9-0 in UFC, like in all of MMA. Undefeated, but 9. It's all about if Gane can avoid the huge power of Lewis, but you don't know if he can. It's just tough. It's like everything on paper says he can, but it's just something that you cannot overcommit on Lewis. And I don't know if he's green enough to be able to overcommit still on when he gets rocked, because he's never lost. But if you overcommit on Lewis, he's putting your lights out. He's very weird the way he throws his kicks and punches and everything. Derek Lewis is a guy that is very agile. He's like a gymnast, but he's a heavyweight 260-pound guy. So I don't know what to do with this, because Derek Lewis at 1.6x multiplier, he gets that knockout, you are going to want him on every team. If Cyril Gane wins at 1x, you're going to want the guy that's winning in this heavyweight fight, no matter what. But Minus 400, you gotta lean with GANE here. If I had to pick it right now, I'm saying GANE is able to wear Derek Lewis out and finish him late. That's what I would pick. But if you were to play with my heart and all that stuff and what I think, that I could just see it right now in front of the Houston Crown, him doing the move that he does when he gets the win, and a big knockout where he catches Ciryl Gane like the second round, where Ciryl Gane's piecing him up for 9 minutes straight and then makes one wrong move and then boom, right on the chin. I could see that too. So very tough fight to call. I'll make more of a read on my TikTok and Instagram and Twitter later in the week when I make my Friday picks after the weigh-in. Hopefully the weigh-in can show me something, or hopefully there's line movement. But right now I'm going to take Ciryl Gane to win late. But yeah, great fight card. I'll make my great picks there. And also Thursday, NFL's back, preseason Hall of Fame game. I'll have my picks on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. And also I'll be making a YouTube video on my NFL, my rankings of QBs, top 20 QBs, top 25 running backs, top 25 wide receivers, or top like 30 or 40 wide receivers, top 20 tight ends, and my favorite breakout candidates and sleepers and everything. And maybe I'll even do a couple of best balls, because I'm pretty good at NFL. It's my favorite sport. Can't wait for that. So I'll make a YouTube video about that as well. But can't wait for this MMA card. Make sure to follow me on TikTok at Takedown DFS, on Instagram at Takedown DFS, and on Twitter at TDown And also, what are you waiting for if you haven't signed up for SuperDraft? Great prize pools, $1,000 off the top in multiple sports. We got NFL, we got MMA, we got poker, we've got NASCAR, we've got golf, we got MLB. Yeah, sign up using code TakedownDFS, deposit $20, you'll get another $25 to spend. $45 right there. Deposit $20, put in the code, you'll have $45 in your account. So what are you waiting for? Let's get this money and let's take down.